Okay. All right. I'm going to call order the Ordinance Committee meeting of June 29th, 6 p.m. It looks like I have Councilor Zarrett and myself present. Maybe someday, Owen. Present. This meeting is still being held remotely because City Hall is not fully open yet, and this is under the permission of the governor's emergency order. So that being said, we have one piece of new business on our agenda, and that is to revisit the plastic ordinance for some housekeeping. So Owen, you want to let us know what we have here?
Yeah, this kind of was initiated by me doing a little review and talking with some other municipalities that had done this. So I spoke with the health director, and so I'll skip all the way first to the end. So section 6-21.6, hardship deferments.
Yep.
You see that?
I do.
So the public hearing item there, I think, was concerned her because basically everyone who would apply for a deferment, which was probably going to be a lot of people, just for like small bits and pieces of like,
right,
condiment cups or who knows.
Right.
It implies that they all need a public hearing. So I basically I talked to her and said, well, how about you just you design like a form that everyone has to, submit to you, and that's how it will be done. And the Board of Health can just say yay or nay. And so that's basically
okay. So basically, it would just be striking after a public hearing and adding a standardized written application, maybe prepared and approved by the Board of Health.
Yeah, the only thing I was thinking, though, is that there should be some sort of, so if you skip all the way down to the last piece of that section, deferment decisions are effective immediately and final. I was thinking maybe there should be some sort of opportunity for people to like appeal it or like request a public hearing. So I don't know if there should be language for that or if we should just leave it as it is.
I would say just to keep it simple, let's kiss it. And if we find ourselves in that position at some point, then we can come back and revisit it. But I feel like there's a decent amount of flexibility here, and I feel if we add that, it's just like, if someone just doesn't like it, whether it's legit or not, then they'll have a way to kind of extend the process and maybe make it more of a hardship on the Board of Health.
Yeah, and I think all the other stuff is in here about what needs to be in there, and they could develop a form to that extent, like, either like we just request a full year deferment for everything because we're not prepared, or here's a single item we can't find a replacement for. So does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, I'm fine with that part.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then I forget who pointed this out to me, but for some reason, I think like everything applies to foodstuffs.
Yeah.
And so it occurred to me that newspaper is not food.
Yeah, no.
So I added this section 6-21.2.6 for, I spelled it wrong, for newspaper delivery.
I just fixed it on my document. Yeah, I see that. So it would require newspaper delivery to be in compostable packaging.
Which is what we talked about, and then I realized it wasn't really there.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I think that's fine. So Tom, just to catch you up, we just so we're looking at the plastics ordinance. There are just a couple of quick things in there. So the one that we just discussed was at the very end of it. It's basically taking out the public hearing piece of the hardship deferment and just creating a standardized written application that is prepared by the Board of Health for the deferment. So that way it's not too much of a hardship if in case multiple people want to defer, like, small little things. It doesn't become a burden. And right now, Yeah, and right now we're looking at there was only two other changes, and one of them is we'd never added newspaper delivery, saying that the newspapers had to be in compostable packaging. So that's one add, and then the second add is we never added in things that were exempt, aluminum containers for the purpose of catering or packaging food for serving one or more individuals. But we haven't talked about that one yet.
So I talked to when Northampton did their ordinance. I met with like the environmental group that was working with them, and they brought up aluminum containers, and they said that wasn't like a really onerous thing, and certainly certainly significantly less so than polyethylene, or polystyrene. I mean, and so since a lot of like, you know, if you got like lasagna for like, you know, 20 people from a local Italian restaurant, it's probably going to come in a big aluminum tin. And so I figured we would allow that.
Well, and that is recyclable. So that's good on that. So that just makes sense.
And I think that was it. I mean, unless were things that were so. And just so you know, too, and I included in the cover letter, so I think we could discuss it. So I know that there was a concern about the straws, and I did a lot of research, and I talked to some people, and the long story short is that while there is some discussion among people, advocacy groups for people with disabilities around like straws by request, that's usually more with where the language is geared towards the exception is basically for people with disabilities. So in other words, like if it's just everybody who can request them, it's not an issue. And then there's a lot of large corporations that have basically gone to this model, like Starbucks is notably one of them. And I'm assuming that they vetted that. I talked to someone also who's it wasn't an official opinion, but I talked to someone also who teaches law, and they kind of said the same thing. They're like, if you're not basically singling out people with disabilities, and it's just a broad kind of like anyone who wants a plastic straw just has to request one, it's not like you're outing any sort of thing. So that was the opinion I received. I mean, I just wanted to put that in there because I wanted to make it clear that I did hear that concern that was brought up. And
sure.
So
I can tell you from just, you know, over the last couple months traveling throughout New England, one of the things I've noticed is that a lot of places don't have plastic straws. The only straws you can get are paper straws. In a lot of other municipalities in Massachusetts and even a couple in New Hampshire. So anyway, you know, I think that piece is still pretty fair.
Yeah. I mean, if there was like an alternative proposal that somebody actually had that was like a fleshed out alternative about what if we did like this instead, and those people had some sort of knowledge or authority on the subject, I guess it would be the right thing for us to do to hear them out. But I can't think of like what it would be off the top of my head. So like, I'm fine with this until somebody has a better idea.
Same. I think that's good.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that especially you, Tom, because I know you're involved in that committee, like that, you know, that was, I heard it and I did do some due diligence. You know, and the fact of the matter is that, and I had a couple businesses in town, like specifically, they were like, we'll need to have plastic straws. Like we just can't survive without them. There's just no good alternatives. And, you know, once there are, maybe it's something to talk about, but so.
Yep. Very good.
I got nothing else.
All right. Well, I mean, and we don't really have anything else on our agenda. So, I mean, you know, we can just, if we feel okay with these three changes, we can just vote to approve them. And then I can just set the public hearing July 7th, if that works for you guys.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to recommend accepting these amendments.
Okay.
Second.
All right. We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay. Tom Peake.
Aye.
Owen Zarrett.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So motion passes. And July 7th. Oh my God, that's crazy. July 7th, I'll set that public hearing for when it's going to be good. So, well, that was a quick one, guys.
Yeah, I apologize. It was, what happened is the ordinance review is tomorrow, and I missed. That's at 6:30. So I looked at the agendas page and was like, oh, okay, yeah.
That's no worries, no worries. So I'm going to take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Owen Zarrett.
Yes.
Tom Peake.
Aye.
And I vote yes as well. We are adjourned. Now,